As the year 2025 unfolds, the global geopolitical landscape finds itself at a crucial juncture. In recent years, the world has witnessed the shifting dynamics of power, especially in the context of China's evolving strategy. What was once a rising economic superpower has now firmly positioned itself as a direct challenger to the United States, not just in the realm of economics, but in its attempt to recalibrate global security, politics, and influence. In this new world order, one undeniable truth has emerged. The United States is stepping into the role of the undisputed global leader, while Canada, once considered an essential and trusted ally, has been left in the shadows of its more powerful neighbor. This shift, which seems to have caught many by surprise, marks the end of an era where Canada's position as an influential player on the global stage seemed secure. Historically, Canada enjoyed a unique position, geographically adjacent to the United States, a member of key international organizations, and a country deeply embedded in the multilateral framework. Its policies were often characterized by diplomacy, peacekeeping efforts, and an economic reliance on trade with both the U.S. and China. Yet, the changes unfolding in 2025 are forcing Canada to confront the fact that its historical approach may no longer be enough. As China pushes forward with its ambitious global agenda and the U.S. asserts its dominance in key areas, Canada finds itself struggling to define its role in this evolving world order. The first pivotal development in this dramatic shift is China's rapidly expanding global influence. Over the last 2 decades, Beijing has become a force to be reckoned with on the world stage. Its economic engine has powered ahead, positioning China as the world's second-largest economy and an indispensable player in global trade. Through its Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, China has sought to establish trade routes, infrastructure, and influence across Asia, Africa, Europe, and even Latin America. In many ways, China is rewriting the rules of global engagement, creating partnerships with countries that were once under the sphere of Western influence. The Digital Silk Road, which seeks to control the flow of information and technology, is just one example of China's ability to reshape the world's economic and technological landscape. However, in 2025, it is not simply China's rise that is shaping the geopolitical stage. It's also the United States' strategic response to that rise. Washington, once the undisputed global leader, has taken an increasingly assertive stance in countering China's growing influence. What's become clear in the past year is that the United States has recalibrated its foreign policy to actively position itself as the key counterbalance to China's ambition. Through strategic alliances and an aggressive posture in the Indo-Pacific region, Washington has taken the reins in steering the world toward a more democratic, rule-based order, aligning itself with key democratic partners like Japan, South Korea, Australia, and even India. The U.S. has also repositioned its economic strategy in direct opposition to China's growing influence. Washington's technological battle with China, spearheaded by initiatives like the CHIPS Act and the promotion of alternative technology supply chains, has positioned the U.S. as the leader in shaping the future of global tech dominance. The formation of economic partnerships through trade agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP, and the strengthening of relations with European allies have further solidified the United States as the undeniable global leader in 2025. In contrast, China's rise has not gone unchallenged, but instead, Washington has spearheaded efforts to create a coalition of like-minded nations to safeguard its interests and counter Beijing's growing influence in the international arena. Meanwhile, Canada's response to these developments has been far from decisive. Historically, Canada has been a close partner to both the United States and China, managing delicate economic relationships with both. As China ascended to global prominence, Canada's role was initially characterized by pragmatism. Canada cultivated strong trade ties with China, benefiting from the country's insatiable demand for natural resources. In turn, Beijing saw Canada as an important economic partner, particularly in energy and commodities. However, as China became more assertive and aggressive on the global stage, Canada's position grew more precarious. The arrest of Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou in 2018 set off a chain of events that exposed the cracks in Canada's relationship with China, and the diplomatic fallout from this incident continues to reverberate today. But it is not just China's actions that have complicated Canada's foreign policy. It is also its failure to adjust to the rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. While the United States has embraced its role as a leader of the free world, making calculated moves to align itself with key global players, Canada has struggled to find its footing. The Canadian government has failed to offer clear leadership on key issues such as climate change, trade, and its relationship with China. Ottawa's response to the growing Chinese threat has been tepid at best, with the government caught between the desire to maintain trade relationships with China and the pressure to align itself more firmly with its Western allies, especially the United States. In contrast to the U.S., which has masterfully navigated its relationship with China, balancing competition with cooperation, Canada has found itself sidelined in crucial geopolitical conversations. For example, the United States has taken a leadership role in crafting a unified response to China's growing military presence in the South China Sea, while Canada's contributions have been muted. Likewise, in the arena of global trade, the U.S. has been instrumental in securing key deals with emerging economies, while Canada has been relegated to the sidelines, unable to keep pace with the speed of U.S. diplomacy. This dissonance between Canada's ambitions and its actual position on the world stage has left the country in a precarious situation. Ottawa's passive approach, especially in the face of China's growing geopolitical aggression, has created an impression that Canada is not a key player in the evolving global order. While Canada remains an important member of international organizations such as the United Nations and NATO, it is increasingly evident that its influence on global decision-making is waning. In a world where strategic alignment and proactive leadership are paramount, Canada's more cautious approach seems increasingly out of sync with the fast-moving currents of 21st-century geopolitics. What makes this even more striking is the way that global power structures are being defined by both the U.S. and China. The United States is not just asserting its influence in traditional areas like military alliances and trade, it is also leading in areas of technological innovation, cybersecurity, and space exploration. Meanwhile, China is pushing aggressively into these realms as well, seeking to lead in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and global infrastructure projects. The U.S., however, has managed to craft partnerships and coalitions with a growing number of countries that share its vision for a more democratic and secure world. The Indo-Pacific region, for example, is becoming an arena where the U.S. is solidifying its alliances through military and economic partnerships, while Canada remains largely an observer in this high-stakes competition. The question now is, can Canada reclaim its relevance in this shifting global order? Can it find its voice in an era defined by U.S.-China rivalry, where global influence is determined not just by economic strength but by strategic alliances, military power, and technological superiority? If the events of 2025 serve as any indication, Canada will need to take bold steps to assert itself, recalibrate its foreign policy, and seek new paths to global relevance. The days of passivity and middle power diplomacy may well be over, as the world looks to the U.S. for leadership and China rises ever higher on the global stage. Canada's challenge now is to decide whether it will continue to be an observer, increasingly irrelevant in the face of monumental geopolitical shifts, or whether it will find the vision and the resolve to step into a new role, one where it is once again a key player in shaping the future of the world. But that path will require more than just diplomatic rhetoric. It will require a complete overhaul of its approach to global politics, economics, and security. What do you think? Share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear from you. If you found this analysis insightful, we'll see you in the next one.